Welcome to Epic Begins with One Step Forward, the podcast that reveals how to plan, achieve, and enjoy the journey of creating epic results in your life, business, health, and relationships. Here's your host, best-selling author and motivational speaker, Xander Sprague.
Hello, Epic people, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Epic Begins with One Step Forward. I'm your host, Xander Sprague, and today I am so excited to have Teresa Bowser with me. Teresa, tell us who you are and what you do.
Ooh, that's a good open-ended question. So I am an avid trail runner. I love running really long distances. I am an adventurous person. If you tell me, let's go skydiving tomorrow, I'm all in. So the scarier, the more gnarly things are, I want to step into those. I love stepping into the unknown. I love pushing myself, and anything mental mindset, then I'm all for it. So now I like to empower other women to do the same within my coaching business.
Awesome. That is great. And yes, the endurance running is definitely good. I used to be, I'd like to say I'm still an endurance runner, but I'm really not. I run not nearly as often, but I used to do it. I did. And people who listen all the time are like, oh my God, he's going to talk about running again. Yes, I am.
As runners, how can we not?
I understand. I've gotten feedback. Someone's like, stop talking about the marathoning. There's got to be other stuff. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, I've done 10 halves, 4 fulls, and a 50K ultra. So
you are a runner.
I am a runner. I just am not actively doing it right now. I really can't say, oh yeah, I'm out there running, 3 times a week. I'm not. So anyway.
Count better than I do. I'm like, I run.
Exactly. And so you obviously are doing distances greater than 50K. And there's one big race or a big run you did that you put together. I want to talk about that in just a minute. But like, how did you discover running? How did you sort of say, I really like this? Because it is hard. I just want to say it's really hard to run long distances.
It really is. And I was never a runner growing up. I had kind of the complete opposite history. I was very heavily into partying in college, outside of college. It lasted for way too long. And then I slowly got into fitness. And what really sparked my healing journey was starting Insanity first. So I started teaching Insanity, and if you're not familiar with that, it's a HIIT style workout. It's old school. I'm dating myself right now, but the creator, Shaun T. So I was teaching those fitness classes, and that really helped me get to a point where I wanted more, and that led me to Spartan races. And so
I know what those are.
Yeah. So when I say I like to push myself and put myself in different situations where it is gnarly, that was like the epitome of everything. So Spartans really allowed me to get out of the old self that I was in and get into a future identity of health focused and more focused on mindset, and really help me curate the path that I took. I didn't know where Spartans were going to take me. I just felt this nudge that I wanted to do something more. So I said yes, I listened, and this whole big path unfolded for me. And when COVID shut down, they shut down Spartan races, and that kind of led into my friend daring me to do a 50 miler. And I was like, I've never ran that much before, but okay, I'll do it, I guess. And again, just saying yes and throwing myself into the unknown, and just anything uncomfortable, I'm for it. I got done with that race and I said, I'm never doing this again. Absolutely not. Like, I was not trained. I didn't go to any of the aid stations. They're like, you don't need anything. I'm like, no, I'm fine. It was hard. It was very hard.
Look, absolutely. And I can tell you that I got myself into running events where it seemed like a great idea 6 months ago. When I'm actually doing the race, it was not feeling quite as good an idea. I did, my 50K Ultra happened because I was training for a marathon, and my running coach had done, Ironmans and was currently doing, ultra races, and goes, look, he's like, you got this. If you can run 26.2 miles, you can do a 50K. It's only 5 miles more. Well, that seemed really logical when he said it. I'm like, you're right. I mean, if I can make it this far and I've done the training and stuff, I can make it. You sure 5 more miles? Yes, it's hard, but sure, I got the mental toughness. Let me tell you that the last 5.1 miles of that ultra were so hard. I was like, oh my gosh, why am I doing that? And look, I need to be on it. The ultra I did was not the billy goating that you do, up over mountains and stuff. I was mainly on like bike paths and stuff. I was up in Granite Bay, California. I'm in the Bay Area, so it wasn't that far away. But the last like half mile, I had to come off the top of this levee and come down like on this trail. And I was like, oh, all right. I definitely I was close to a time I wanted. By the way, I'm really slow. So I finished it. That's all I got to say.
That's all that matters.
And absolutely. And I was like, oh, if I just push a little here, but the sand was like super soft. And I'm like, I am not making it like a quarter mile away from the finish and twist my ankle or something. So I had to slow down. And by that point I was so tired that it was, kind of hard. The aid stations, I totally got me. And I hit the aid stations and they had these boiled potatoes that you could dip in salt. And I'm like,
best.
I know. Looked so good. I wanted one so bad, but
it's like 5 Michelin star, like Bon Appetit, those things.
Totally. But here's the thing. I listened to my running coaches, and they had said nothing new on race day if you have not previously eaten it, right? So I get done the race. I'm having lunch with my former running coach, and I'm like, oh yeah. And I said, and there were these potatoes, and I wanted one. And he goes, oh man, those are great. You should have had one. They're so delicious. And I'm like, but you kept telling me nothing new on race day. He goes, that's true, but no, it's a potato. Like I was like, man, I missed out, because every time I went by, I'm like, oh, that looks so good. I really want one. But I get the nothing new on race day.
Yeah, for sure.
For those of you who are not runners, you want to make sure you've tested out any nutrition you're putting in your body, be it drink, gel, chomp, food, because you don't know how your body's going to react. And there are times, I think you probably have had this experience, where you tried something new, even on a training run, and it doesn't go well. Does not, like, you don't feel good. There could be other adverse side effects, which we will not get into, but I'm sure everyone can guess. So that's why
everybody's always so curious about those, though.
Yeah. Curiosity can sometimes kill your race or your run. Like, all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh. Anyway, so yes, that 50K was fun, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know that I need to do that one again.
But the thing I always try to tell people, and yes, I'm doing these huge like mountain climbing runs. For me to do a 50K that's flat, I would rather do 100 miles of climbing than a 50K of flat races.
Well, I wasn't totally flat. I have to say
But just in like perspective wise.
Oh, totally.
People are like, oh, I can't do it. I only do flat races. I'm like, don't say I only do. You are doing so much, because like climbing is for me, flat races is extremely hard for me. So don't discount,
Oh,
like
absolutely not.
You're pushing through on.
No, absolutely not. But like some of these ultra races are redonkulous. Like they're like, because you started a 260 mile race through the Blue Mountain.
Yeah, so this Project Untamed that I just finished and got the fastest known time for, it is a 100-mile race, and it actually turned out to be 103.74, because as you know, that 0.74 actually matters. So
yeah,
103.74 miles, and it was 26,000 feet of climbing.
Oh my gosh. My legs hurt just hearing that.
Yeah, that was hard. It was extremely technical. Lots of roots, lots of rocks, lots of climbing. Sometimes you're on all fours. So not only was it taking your physical energy, but your brain really had to focus at all times because you had to watch where you're going. Your feet were just like footstepping over very technical terrain for more than half the course.
I can imagine. And then, what goes up must come down.
That's the fun part.
So believe it or not, running uphill, although more physically exhausting, perhaps, or cardio exhausting, downhill is a lot harder overall on your body. Because for those who don't know, you have to, when you're going downhill, you have to engage a lot more of your whole entire body to prevent yourself from literally plummeting down the hill.
Literally.
And if you're in the woods, you have to be even more careful because you're tired. It totally blows your quads out.
And I did this run at the end of October, so the leaves were just starting to fall. And like you would get to certain parts of the mountain where we call it leaf surfing. So not only are you going over technical terrain, it's covered in leaves. So you
can't even see the roots and the rocks and
Yeah. So it got really interesting at certain points. I was coming down this really steep face at probably around 5:30 in the morning. So I was at like mile 70-ish. And we hit that I was so tired, and we're going down one of the steepest pitches. And I was like, and I created this run. Like I put this route together. I connected all of these trails, all of our backyard home trails that we train on, that we love, that we do independently. I mashed them all together to create this run. So I knew what I was getting myself into. I purposely put these trails at certain times of the run to test my ability and my mindset. So when I was on it, I was like, what did you do this for?
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
So one epic journey for sure. 36 hours.
Wow. Well, that's much faster than I'd ever be able to cover. That's all I got to say. So here's a question. Because you seem to like to, we could say torture or super challenge yourself. Would you ever do the Barkley?
Honestly, I wouldn't mind the course. It's not having a map and knowing where to go. That is what would get me the most. Not the technicality of it, not the harshness of it. Put me through briars, put me on the most insane, gnarliest trail, yes. But there's no course markers. You have to go from point A to point B and figure it out in real time. I would be the one that they would have to come rescue because I would end up in another state. So
totally. And just so for my listeners, the Barkley Marathon is, I think it's invitation only.
Oh yeah. It's really hard to get in.
It's really hard to get into, but it is, you're doing a loop around this course in the woods. And as Teresa said, you're not allowed to have any GPS or anything. And I don't know, is it that you do the same direction, or is it that you reverse?
You keep reversing. So you go counterclockwise, clockwise, and then you have to pick up books of pages to make sure that you hit certain points. And if you missed a page, then you don't get credit and you get disqualified. So it's a puzzle treasure map within it being very, very hard. Take all of that away, the route already it's insane. And then you put all of that into it, and you have to do it in a certain amount of time too. You have to complete these loops in a certain amount of time or you time out. So there's so many different obstacles going on. So anybody who even gets invited, does one loop, completes it, you are already I'll bow down to you.
Yeah, exactly. And for those of you, look, if you're interested, it's put on by a guy named Lazarus, who is a
legend,
evil genius. I don't know. I guess depending on when you ask how people feel about Lazarus, they may go, this man is he's Satan's minion, Yeah. Anyway, you can go to YouTube and look up Barkley Ultra and watch whole races. They've got multiple seasons of it. I watched a few of them and I'm like, wow, that is really, that
Next
may
level.
be the ultimate.
Yeah, it's next level for sure.
Well, that's cool. So for you, what does running long distances, what does it do for you, your mind, your body, your soul?
Everything, honestly, everything. And it really connects to like the whole journey and the path of how I got into ultra running. So whenever I came out of Spartan races in COVID, I was in a freak dog accident. I had multiple surgeries on my hand. I was out of exercise. I was taken off the trails for almost a year. And I went back and did a Spartan race, and it just wasn't like, I did good, but it just wasn't the same. And a friend, a new friend that I've never met before, she invited me out to go volunteer at this 24-hour event. And I did not know at the time that people ran for 24 hours straight. I had no idea. I was in the Spartan community. I was not in the trail running community. And I watched these people run for 24 hours and everything that they endured, everything that they were going through. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but I want it. I want to do that. I have to feel that. I have to, like, that's my next step. So that's how I got into running. And at the time, I was going through a lot of things and just really trying to step into a new identity. When I started running, I felt a joy and a passion and an energetic, like, jolt more towards who I wanted to become, more so than anything that ever brought me. Like, Spartans were great. They like pushed me to an edge, but they weren't taking me any further. Once I started running and getting on those trails and taking life onto the trails and trails into life, I was really able to just untangle so many spider webs within my mind, within my brain, within my soul. And it just became, I mean, I re-evolutionized myself and I learned how to be bold. I learned, like, conquering mountains really teaches you how to conquer life, really teaches you how to continue to show up for yourself. Because if you're going to put yourself in those situations and train hard, you really have to train hard in life too. So it all just started to like mold together for the first time, and it was incredible.
Absolutely. Now, I know that although I'm not doing, my training runs are probably not nearly as long as yours, but that's okay. I did find and still find that running is, especially when you're running longer distances, 10, 12, 15, 26 miles, you have the time and the space to process through all the things that have come up that you just don't in the moment have a time to process. As a mental health provider, I'm a big fan of Gestalt closure theory, which is kind of says in our life we have these circles and they're not quite closed, and we get stuck because we need to close that circle. Yeah. And so I know when I was doing my training runs and stuff, there were so many, I get done a run and I can't really tell you what it was that I processed through, but I would feel like, I cleared some stuff out of the inner, the inner stuff. Like I worked through stuff. I thought through it. I thought, how would I respond to that again? And
the energy, like the energy within side of you, it's movement. Like it's moving that stagnant energy and allowing you to have space for more. Like it's such a space for expansion because, like you said, like you're getting things out that you didn't know that you needed to untangle. Like all of a sudden, like you're in mile 10 and you're like, wow, like I didn't even know I needed to clear that. So it opens your soul and your body up for so much more. And then you learn how to process through hard things, because at the same time, your toe hurts, you have a blister, like you're hungry, like you're figuring out all of these things. It's like cognitive therapy. Like all of these things are happening at once and you can't hyperfixate just on one. And it allows you just to see things differently.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the coolest.
And sometimes you get done the run, or as you said, you're mile 10, and then you're like, like sort of let me throw that baggage off here on the side of the trail. I could say there are times I would just say it was a really good run. I processed through a lot, but I honestly couldn't tell you what it was because as you said, you're actively pushing your body forward. So you don't have time to put all that energy But part of your brain is like, oh, hold on, let's resolve this issue. Let me think about why I'm having, disagreement with my sibling or my parent or my boss or whatever. So yeah, it was definitely a really great thing. We talked about the Barkley, but I got to know, if you had the opportunity to do like Western States or Leadville, would you do either one of those?
So I'm going to come at you with one more big one. So
All righty.
Hard Rock 100, I would rather do over those two.
Okay.
I've been to Leadville a couple times to pace and crew my friend. I absolutely love it. Western States, if I got in, absolutely. But I would so much rather go do Hard Rock 100 because it is so technical. There's so much climbing that's deep in the mountains. I used to live in Telluride, Colorado. So going back to those mountains that would be epic. Like, please, Hard Rock, if you're listening, just go ahead and put me on the roster because I show up very prepared.
That's great. It's great.
So hard to get into. It's so hard. All of those are so hard to get into nowadays. It's so popular and so it's a lottery system as well. So you have to complete other races in order to get a ticket into the lottery. And I have friends who've been in the lottery for 6-7 years and they still haven't got in. And then other friends have been in it for 1 year and they get in. So you just really never know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Given the chance, would you run Boston? No, not at all. No interest whatsoever.
I mean, not really. No, I would. Okay, if I had a free ticket, all expense paid trip, if they were going to put me in a hotel and like I didn't have to pay for anything and they just put me on the start line, absolutely. But again, like that's like those flat roads, that's not my style.
Okay, so one, I grew up there, but I did one of my four fulls was I got to run Boston in 2014. Full disclosure, I was in on a corporate sponsor exemption, like I got one of their bibs because I would not time qualify, and even though I grew up watching that, I can tell you that is by no means a flat course, Teresa. There is it's quote a net downhill, but there are hills, and like we all hear about Heartbreak Hill. Heartbreak Hill itself is literally a series of plateaus. It's not the steepness of those hills. It's miles 17 through 20, and you have just come off out of the Wellesley Hills. You've just come down a lot of, you dropped a lot of elevation. You're going down hills. Yeah. So your quads are shot, and then you're like, now I have 3 miles of.
And right at the end.
Step up. You get to the top there, then you have another downhill, and then it is pretty flat going into Boston. But it was honestly one of the harder like races that I've ever done physically. Just because of all of the hill. Look, you start off and the first like 3 miles, you're on a slight downhill. Now think about how jacked up you are at the beginning of a race. Okay.
Let's go.
So you start off, and again, I knew this, but it's still that you start and you're like, oh wow, I'm gonna have a great marathon. Look at me, I'm cruising along, right? Fastest 5K I did in a race. It's at Boston. Yeah, because I was going slightly downhill. So you're
amped.
You're amped up. You're in Boston. You're like, oh my God, I'm running Boston, right? Now you're going slightly downhill. You feel fantastic. You probably go faster than you should at the beginning. Okay,
so you've already sold me. Let's go do Boston together. Let's go.
Oh my God, no. I would, holy God. You would have been finished, showered.
I don't know. I'm telling you, those road races are so different than trail. Like those are so challenging to me.
They are. Oh, look, they are. And one of the things that when I was flying back to California, there was a woman I saw, she had her Boston medal on. I'm like, oh my gosh, you just finished Boston. That's great. She had won her age class. She was 85.
That's amazing.
Okay,
It's
there weren't a lot of
awesome.
85-year-olds, and she managed, and because she won her age group, she gets to be up on stage with all the elites and stuff. And
I love that.
and she's like, I'm here with these people who are so insanely fast, right? And they're the ones going, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. Now look, she did not look 85. Let me
I
tell
want to
you.
be her when I grow up.
Yeah, no doubt. What I can tell you, because I got home and I'm like, all right, let me look up. I am not faster than an 85-year-old woman. She beat me by a minute and like a minute and 3 seconds.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The other thing that I have to say makes Boston super challenging, and people they just don't talk about it. The elites go off at 10 a.m. I didn't start running till noon, and it was not a hot, but it was a warm day.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah. We usually start at 4 a.m. For
Well, yeah.
trail running and like ultra running. 4 a.m. starts are so normal. So you're going to bed at like 8 o'clock, you're up at 2, no sleep. And so like the race, like, so I named the race Project Untamed 100. I started at 4 a.m. It took me 36 hours to complete, but by the time I was done, I was probably up for like 38 hours because like who sleeps the night before?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I had the most hallucinations I've ever had on this run, which was really fun.
As long as they're fun hallucinations.
They were. I was almost sad that they left. Like I had a 10-mile stretch in between mile 80 and 90 where it was just so intense. And then I don't know what happened at mile 90, but they stopped. They got like a little like faded, but I was just like, I want those back. That was like actually keeping me company and like
Totally, totally. No, no. I mean, it is interesting what happens when we push ourselves, no matter what it is, beyond what we believe is possible.
And that's why we do the things that we do. And that's why we put ourselves in like finding our next edge. Like, and I love what you are all about in your mantra of not yet. No, not yet. Like
I
not
was
yet.
going to just ask you my not yet
And,
question. So,
You know, and I love that. Like I just ruined it. I spoiled
no,
it.
no, no, no. It's good.
But like one of mine is I want to do a 200-mile race next year. So not yet, but
Yeah.
200 miles is next because I need to know what it feels like at mile 130, at 150, at 160, and 200, all in like consecutive, and continuing to push yourself because no matter like in again like going back like it's for me it's 200 miles but maybe for you it's stepping into a hard conversation, maybe it's for you it's going for a career jump or a raise or a new relationship. Like finding that next version of yourself is always going to be in the hard, it's always going to be at the edge, and like stepping over that edge and trusting yourself to do it is like the greatest gift that you can give yourself.
Absolutely. And you know, of course I love that you like that concept of not yet, because I think it's so powerful for the possibilities in our life. And to sit there and say, this hasn't happened, not yet. Have I run a 200 miler? Not yet. You remain open to the possibility of doing it. And no matter what that is, not yet. I know in writing the books, oh, is the book out? Not yet.
Not yet.
If I say
But it's
no,
happening.
the same way that if you know, have you run the Untamed 100? No, makes it sound like it's never going to happen. However, with races, you're like, well, I'm in training. No, not yet. It's happening in 2 months. And people go, oh, I get that. I sometimes laugh at somehow as adults, everything that people want it black and white. Yet if someone's in college and they're a freshman, you don't say, oh, do you have your degree? Because we know that there's a path for them to take. And yet,
Go ahead.
no, go.
I always like to coach my clients too, and it's kind of like that same closed off way of thinking of giving yourself permission versus freedom. Because for me, permission means you need to ask. And what happens if someone tells you no? Like in elementary school, can I go to the bathroom? no, not right now. Like if permission, you're like giving that, ooh, maybe yes, maybe no vibe. But if you give yourself freedom and freedom to explore this opportunity, freedom to explore that thought, not permission to go for it, because who wants permission? Like if you tell me no, like that's just going to close me off and make me mad. I want the freedom to do it. So it's kind of like that same, almost like the closed circle concept,
Yeah.
like don't put yourself in a box just by saying one certain thing, and just how to reframe certain things. Like it's like Jedi mind tricks, and I love it.
Absolutely. And look, sometimes we have to ask for something. So, for example, you asked to be on the podcast. If I said no, although a loss for me and my audience, you're no worse off for having asked. I've shared this story before on the podcast, but I think it demonstrates it really well. And I'm going to go kind of old school here, but there was Tip O'Neill, who was a congressman from Massachusetts, was the Speaker of the House for like 20 years. I mean, the really long time. And he was in Boston, and this woman he was at some event, and this woman came up and said, I didn't vote for you in the last election. He goes, why not? She said, you didn't ask.
Ooh.
And I love this story because I've gotten so many things because I asked. And not only did I ask, but I asked a specific question, right? You and I, as doing coaches, if we ask a specific question, will you help me train for X? Your answer could be yes or no, or here's what I can do for you. I can hand you a training schedule, but I can't do all the training with you. But if someone just says, can you help me learn how to run? Well, that's very vague. Sure, buy some shoes, walk out the door.
Yeah.
Go a mile. Sure. But like anything in life, especially in business, if we're specific about what we're asking for, it's amazing. I'm sure you were trying to get sponsors for the Untamed 100. You got to be specific about what you're offering, not, hey, would you want a sponsor? You want
to help? You want to help? And stepping into those like big, bold moves, I think asking alone is so bold. And it's something that we're all afraid to do, because what if, or like, what happens if they say no? But again, it's just going back to like trust and belief and like full conviction of like what you want and value, and leaning into that. It'll give you the power and the courage to do it. And when you don't have that like confidence yet, you get confidence by doing. So just start asking, and then it becomes easier, and you get better at it.
And also realize that if someone says no, you're still in the same place you were. You're not behind. You just, you may not be stepping forward, but you're no worse off. And frankly, you're better for having practiced asking the question. You don't know what someone's going to say.
You don't. And what is it? I forget who says it, but it's like no means not yet. Like no is not yet, or something like that, because you never know what's around the corner. How many successful stories of people who are just the epitome of success have gone through how many no's? Like you have to ask, you have to put yourself out there.
Again, Thomas Edison, 100, trying to figure out the light bulb, 100 different, attempts at it.
Failing forward, always.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this has been a truly epic conversation. I want to thank you so much for coming in. And how can people get a hold of you?
The best way would be through Instagram. So Teresa Bowser _.
Cool.
Yeah. So if any of this resonated, I would love to contact with you guys. Message me, reach out. I would love to talk to you.
Absolutely. And I want to remind everyone that if you're ready to begin your epic journey, go to epicbegins.com. And as always, remember, epic choices lead to the epic life we want.
Get your gift copy of the award-winning book, Epic Begins with One Step Forward, at epicbegins.com. That's a wrap on this episode of Epic Begins with One Step Forward with your host, Xander Sprague, best-selling author, internationally acclaimed public speaker, and licensed professional clinical counselor. To make your next conference or event epic, send an email to Xander at zander@epicbegins.com. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Remember, epic choices, epic life.